What's up, Sojourners? It's Obey, your host. I'm so glad to be back. Today we are having an amazing conversation. I'm just so excited to jump right in, so let's not waste any time. This first segment we're going to go into is called Who, What, Where, Why, and How. And basically what we're talking about is the Botham. I know I was going to mess it up. The Botham John. I was messing up both times. Actually, I'm going to let Melvin go ahead and say Botham John case. And we're going to talk about criminal justice. We're going to talk about race and whatever else I find interesting to get into. So it's going to be good. So first thing is, let's go into this case. I know a lot of us have heard about it. We've seen the video with his brother Brant, which was really powerful. And I'm just really excited to get into like the case and everything. But actually, before we do any of that, let me introduce. I'm off tonight. Let me introduce our guest tonight. So you guys go ahead, just give him a little blurb about you, everything. Go ahead.
Well, it's your boy T. Roy. I don't try to hold no punches. Nah, just kidding. My name is Troy Burnett. I live in Lynchburg now. I've been here for 6 years.
It's a long time.
As of last
That's
week,
like 36
That's a long
in
time.
Lynchburg years.
It's a lot. It's a long time in Lynchburg.
I got you beat, Troy.
How long have you been here?
I came here in 2004. So
Who are
15
you?
years. I'm Melvin Brown, Mel Brown. Also a Lynchburg local, I guess it seems. Originally a DMV native. Came here in 2004. Kind of been here ever since. So, it's all right.
Quick sidebar: are you a Redskins fan?
No. I'm Atlanta Falcons fan. Come on, man.
Okay, there you go.
On,
there you go. Gosh, it's so painful being a Redskins fan.
It's painful being a Falcon fan too, apparently.
This is literally painful for a lot of us. All right, so of course you guys know me, Obey. So let's go in. First off, this case. All right, who was involved? What happened? Where did this happen? Why did it happen? And how did it happen? So I think, Melvin, you were going to break us down for,
Yeah, I can do it. So Amber Geiger, police officer, off duty, on her way home from ending the shift, on duty, and still in uniform and everything.
Yep.
Appeared, or what she thought was going to her apartment where she lived when she entered Botham John's apartment. And according to her story, thought she was encountering a intruder and pulled her firearm or whatever, gave commands, and he did not respond to her commands. So she fired, which ultimately ended in his death. So that's kind of where it starts. A lot of the, I guess, story, what's report, her story changes quite a bit from her account saying, well, she thought it was her apartment. Then it was, my key didn't work to get in, to then it went to, well, the door was halfway open. So is, which is it, kind of thing. So that's kind of where it begins. And of course, there's a lot more that goes into that over time. So I think there are a lot of emotions right now on both sides from everyone, white, black, police, not police, civilian, so it's been crazy, I would say, on social media the last couple of days with everything surrounding this.
And I think this is probably one of the bigger cases because through the trial, this police officer was actually found guilty and not did not get an acquittal.
Right.
And I think that's been probably one of the most troubling things over the past couple of years because it seems as though there have been black people in that have had bad encounters, terrible encounters, tragic encounters, fatal encounters with police officers, and then the police officer gets a slap on the wrist. They get released from their job, things of that nature.
Or nothing.
And it just seems like there's no justice for this, for black men, black people, period.
Yeah, this case was really hard for me because, like, I'm to be honest, have been just kind of over the let's all get pissed and rage the streets mentality for a while on social media. And so as with each case that came out, I was like, I've begun to just kind of like, let me remove my emotions. Let me try and figure out the facts, and then be like, man, you know, Philando Castile deserved justice. Man, I feel like Sandra Bland deserved justice. Man, you can go on and on. And I think for me, it became really, 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 really hard not to see the pain and then see also the points that were made because of some of these situations. Like, that there was a systemic, in a way, situation going on in our criminal justice system. And I think I've really moved in my perspective of like, I think there are some things that need to change, but I think also we all need to begin to educate ourselves on what our system is. Right. Because I think we all assume that like, well, this person got this verdict here in California, he should get the same thing in Texas and in Florida and in Vermont. And we need to remind ourselves we are 50 individual states with a hell of a lot of laws. And, this case was just really hard for me because I was like, man, this seems like it was like kind of the sentencing was only 10 years. And so one of the things I did with this case was I researched it, and then one also, because it happened in the state of Texas. One of my friends is a lawyer there, just talked to him about like, why was this 10 years? And so I think a lot of people don't realize that like, hey, the judge was African American. The jury was mostly African American. And when these kind of cases come to light, there's a lot that goes into it. There's days and days of litigation. They're trying to, sway people one way or another. And then the jury has these options to pick from. And so I think all those things led me to realize, okay, like you want to say it's a racially charged thing, but then you begin to really read into it and you feel like, okay, even if this woman did this with like a racial intent, the way our criminal justice system is put into place, it's like you have to prove certain things right with beyond a reasonable doubt. So that's why when we like look at it on social media and we see like a meme or we see a really good, like, man, that dude had a really good post, but he wasn't there. He wasn't, I think, and
it all comes down to be in the public opinion.
Right? Yes, so it's like then it's like we need to realize that like our criminal justice system is not a public opinion place, and so it's really about each of us having a discussion, understanding that, trying to change some things, but also understanding like we have safeguards in place. You can't get like I didn't realize in criminal cases you can't even really get mad at the judge. Like I have friends of mine just hella upset at the judge. And I was like, wait. Then I found out judge is a black woman.
Actually, that has caused a lot of problem on my timeline on my Facebook because she was black.
But
they
don't realize that she like a judge just presides over a criminal case. Somebody taught me. It's like when it's a criminal case, the jury decides everything, and the judges either preside over it. So it's like she's just reading the sentence that they've chosen. Like she doesn't even sentence them. The jury pick, okay, we're gonna go with this option, and that means we have these options, and that means we're gonna go with this option, and that's what is gonna be her sentence, and then they give that to the judge to read. So we've already put into place that like one person can't decide it, and this was a unanimous jury decision, which again was pro African, mostly African American, and so that like blew my mind. It's like the way that social media I thought, man, it's gonna be bad. That's what it always feels like, and then you get in there, it's like. Okay, there was people like the jury's all mostly black, the judge is black. Okay, this is gonna be a safer like a better opportunity to see justice happen. But then people get upset at the sentencing, and they're not thinking about like, okay, but like, can you prove this was premeditated? And do these factors that you see on social media, can you use that in court to prove that?
Yeah. When it all boils down to it, none of us were there, and we really don't know what truly happened. And so in the court of law, you have to put out everything. And I think
Build the
So
case.
yeah, you got to build the case. So even going back to what you were saying earlier about like the sentencing, I'm gonna be honest with you, the sentencing in itself hurt me.
Yeah, yeah.
But let me go back real quick.
Yeah.
I was surprised that she was acquitted. I mean, not acquitted, but she was found guilty. That surprised me.
You were surprised that she was
I was
found guilty?
surprised.
Did you know the jury was black?
Even going back before that.
Okay.
And that's the thing. We keep saying that the jury was majority black. So then that kind of gives like an essence of the only reason why she was found guilty was because of the people who were on the jury.
I mean, yeah.
Versus just her crime was evident that she committed the crime.
Right.
And in any case, I believe that you should be found guilty if you do any crime, regardless of who's on the jury. But yeah, I was surprised that she was found guilty in the first place because we've had a history of instances where black men, black people, period, have been put in a position where they, like I said before, have endured a tragedy, and then the police officers get off when it's obviously like a tragic, like they did the thing. Me and Melvin were talking a little bit earlier. I was like, man, this goes back to Rodney King. He's like, man, you taking it way back. way back.
I think it goes even before Rodney. I think Rodney was the
goes
first.
way back, yeah.
Rodney was the first time, I mean, probably since Salem, at that bridge where we were all like in shock and awe.
Yeah.
Like, because that was one of the big things, we want to talk about big political chess moves. When MLK said, nah, if we do this, we got to do it where everybody can see. So if this is going to be the country that this is going to be, they go do it in front of everybody. Mm-hmm. And we're going to bet that like somebody's going to be sitting at home like, man, black or white, I ain't for some, like they can see the kids and the women.
Right.
Just getting beat down. You know, I think that's what Rodney King was just like, you got it, bruh. Like he you know what I'm saying? Like the man is just there. Like he's not there's more of you, and your humanity starts to breed in. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what's always tough. Like, I mean, for this case, you can go on Court TV, which by the way, I'm gonna link the link to the Court TV briefings. Y'all can watch the body cam of the cop entering in to resuscitate. It's pretty graphic. Yeah. Yeah, they blur out.
No, I didn't know there was a video out about that.
Dude, see, that's the thing. Like, I went in deep in, and because I was just like, if we're gonna do this podcast, I gotta make sure I'm prepped. And so Court TV has like the sentencing. Mm-hmm. They show the timeline, so it's like she called the 911 for like these 6 minutes, and so you see like those things play out, you know, on Court TV. But what's your point about like the history, like going all the way back, like. Right. I think what's painful about this is what you saw at the bridge in Salem, what you saw in Rodney King was just that, like, it was almost like your humanity, like this man was just at home. He ain't doing, like, in Rodney King, it's like, man, this guy's just getting beat to, like, just arrest him. Don't kill him.
Right.
You know? With this man, even door locked, door, whatever, anything. It's his house. Somebody, like right now, somebody walked in. We'd all be like, whoa. I don't care if the police officer yells a command. It's like, hey, bro, like I'd be still in shock. Like, yeah, it's like
I live here.
You know? So I think your humanity starts to seep out because you're just like, why was it like your first thing was like, you yelled out some commands and shot him? It's like, I don't know. It was like a lot of me was like trying to see like, maybe Amber had a tough day at the job. You know, she was.
Hey, bro, I do that sometimes.
I was trying.
I try to give, and Melvin, no, I'll give somebody the benefit of the doubt in a heartbeat.
It was hard.
I know you will, but
it was hard.
As many hard days at work you had, you never gone to your neighbor's door and thought it was yours. Like no matter how hard your day at work was, you never gone next door.
I made the mistake of like accidentally using someone's door. You know, we all live in apartment complexes, but I've never in my life, thought to kill a man. Now, okay, I know some people in Texas and some people around. I have friends that own guns who have kids. You know, I understand that for sure. I'm someone that believes that like it is within your right to have a gun in your home to protect your family, your kids as a last resort for sure.
Sure.
I just I think for me, it was really hard with this case, with the who, what, when, why, where, everything. It just seems so senseless. I just like, your heart starts to like get just emotional because it's just like the brother was on his couch eating ice cream, looks up, is like, yo, who are you?
Right.
And then she yelled some commands, maybe had the TV on loud. I don't even care because it's like, it's his house.
It's his house.
You know, and that was like, and when you watch the body cam of the cop entering in, again, this is just hindsight's 2020. So those listening, hear my heart. I'm just saying, from my perspective, if I don't care what race you are, you watch this video, the guy enters in, it just looks like someone else's house. Like, I don't see a girl with dishes and stuff on the counter. The dude had his iron board out with his iron on it. Like, it was a dude's house. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, he had
Not
like
trying to
three
make light of the
panes.
situation.
There was no decor. It was bare bones, a brother's house. So even if for her to get to that point to shoot him, because it's like to the right's the kitchen, and then straight it's a small apartment situation. So it's like they didn't make these apartments really massive where he's like in another corner. And she could, I just felt like she had time to see that. And even though then, say he's like, whoa, and he comes towards you, I just am like, as a cop, maybe we needed more training on like keeping your cool. But I just don't know, like this, why is every cop think that someone's gonna like remove their gun and kill them every instance? I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's just so quick to be like, bow.
Sure.
You know? And it's just hard.
It's funny you say that because there was a news station, I can't call who it was, where the news broadcaster went out on a ride. Not on a ride. He went through a simulation with the local police officers. Right. And in the simulation, he was scared. He was afraid. He was like, I don't know what to do. And he immediately grabbed for his weapon and things of that nature. And at the end of it, he was like, see, even I was scared in that situation and stuff like that. And then someone politely said, but you're not a trained police officer. Right. There's a difference. Like, these people have to go through, I would say, intensive training. I have a friend of mine. I think you might know him too. I don't want to put his name out on the podcast because I don't want him to.
Yeah, right.
But a friend of mine who went through the Lynchburg LUPD or whatever it's called.
I know who you're talking about.
And I know it wasn't an easy task. It was not an easy task. He had to get in shape. He had to lose weight because he had too much muscle on him. I'll never know why you tell the police officer too much muscle on you. But I know it's a really hard situation. So, I mean, and you're tested. I'm pretty sure you're pushed to the limit on a lot of things. Yeah. So I can't call it, man. And honestly, I think me and one of my friends were talking today. We're saying how I understand police officers, they want to get home. And I definitely understand that too. Because in the end, which is some things that some people I don't think they understand, police officers are people too.
Yes.
I don't think people think that police officers aren't people. It's like the same thing that you just said. Police officers want to get home too. I want to get home at the end of the day. Right. You know what I'm saying? So just like the police officer is hoping for his safety as well, I'm hoping for mine. So I'm hoping that he or she is making the right decisions if they approach me or pursue me the same way. You know, so I think everybody wants to make it home. Mm-hmm. So
I think we have to be careful because both can be true. You know, you both want to get home, but a police officer has a heightened sense about themselves because of their job. I mean, so I want to go do a ride along in Lynchburg just to like see what they do. I think I encourage a lot of people to do that because I think if we saw the things that they see on the daily and the shootings that they see and the senselessness that we do to each other, we don't realize that they are the thin line that keeps us from anarchy. Mm-hmm. They are the thin line that just keeps from the strong will live and the weak will die. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's hard about human beings is we are violent creatures. And so it's like they see that on the daily. They see the rape. They get the calls. They see those. So those things built into their psyche. And I don't know if maybe like they just don't know how to handle that. So that when they see, Melvin, they just see him from Melvin. Mm-hmm. a hardworking father in this community.
They don't see that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you.
But we want them to see that.
They definitely don't see that.
But you know what I'm saying? But
Even looking at Melvin right now, he's a
if
black
someone
male.
saw
He's
me
wearing
right now,
all black.
they would not. They would not think that.
Yeah. For those that are listening to the podcast, Melvin is a brother that is tatted up.
No, yeah, tell the truth.
Yeah, it's true. So if you didn't know him and you just saw the black Malcolm X hat,
Yeah.
and he letting you know he established it, and he got his year on his shirt, established in 1986 with the tattoos and the dope tattoos though.
80s baby.
You know, dope tattoos is if you just saw that, I guess you know a police officer would be like, because he's seen other people like Melvin,
Right.
that weren't friendly.
And see, that's not fair. So hold on, let me go back real quick to talk about, to mention. Now, we are saying that we did say that police officers are people and they're trying to get home too.
Yes.
We are not, at least I am not, trying to justify anything that was done
None of us
unjustly
None
or
of us
unfairly. Not at all.
None of
Because
we're making a broad statement about police officers
Sure.
Right.
wanting to get home, but then we need to always keep it, you know, subjective when we're talking about these cases, because each case does not then just indict all police officers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because African American people can't stand for that. That like, well, this dude a drug dealer don't mean I'm a drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Asian people don't like that. Hispanic people, no race likes this one person's actions justifies the whole.
Right.
So I think we have to we are saying over the generalization of police officers, they all have a heart for their communities and want to get home.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be killed. Mm-hmm. And there's what we don't see a lot of in the news is the ones that don't get home. There's a lot of those too. Mm-hmm. And so that builds into the psyche. Again, I'm like, because I'm trying to understand, like, when you see your friend get shot and killed and he's a police officer and there is no news about it because it happens so often, but then everybody wants to get mad. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like everybody gets mad at you as I don't know what kind of, I don't use an analogy to make it like, make people feel offended, but just like certain jobs that are in the public eye, they get mad at you when you make the mistake, but there's not as much of people ready to talk when you make the right call, you know? Mm-hmm. So for me, the first thing that came out was like NFL coach, you know? So like when you mess up and the team loses, everybody writing a piece about you, everybody talking about you. It's just a public discussion. When you make continuously the right decisions, bro, we barely talk about Bill Belichick. People don't even want to hear about, all right. Wow,
Let's move on to the next one.
Consistently good.
Yeah.
But no. But I promise you right now, there are more articles about Jay Gruden and what he's doing to my Redskins than there are about how once again the Patriots are consistent. It's like, you know? So when you look at a police officer, it's like I always want to be like, man, what's built in that man's psyche in this one unique place, you know? Because it doesn't happen everywhere, you know? So it's like, what is it? What has he seen? I'm not there. You know, there's some things that police officers here have seen in Lynchburg. I don't know how I, on an outside perspective, can see some things continuously and not build in a little bit of a psyche. So like if we were black men in a majority white community and we saw the same things, man, these kids over here think because they can do this, this, and this. They're selling this. They're hurting each other this way. They're doing these X things. And then we see a kid that fits that same thing we've seen 1,000 times, not be a little bit prejudiced.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I'm just like, how do I ask a man who's seen something 1,000 times, not be a little bit prejudiced?
To break that mold.
To break that mold. Like, how do you teach that? Because we're all saying, this has got to stop. But we're not asking the tough questions is, what do you mean by that? So you want to educate? All right, they all sit in the classroom. We show them, hey man, when you get home, like, find a way to cool off before, you know, like detach yourself from your shift, which for I think police officers is like 12 hours or something like that.
Probably.
It's like 7 to 7.
I don't know how long they
7.
I can't tell
I believe it's like, so I know it for Lynchburg, it's like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So it's like something like that where it's like, and they work like 3-4 times a week. So with those kind of shifts, those are long shifts. That's like a doctor, nurse, to detach yourself for your day off. Maybe we need, it's like, how do we help someone do that? How do we help, it's like asking someone for the military.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
So that's where, it gets hard for me with this case is that like, I know Amber's guilty. I know she made a horrific decision. I think personally for me, she wanted to kill this man.
You personally think she wanted to kill him?
I think she had the option to just see. I don't see even if okay, Troy. If somebody came in here, they would see 3 dudes on a mic in a nice arranged room doing a podcast. I don't think if we turn and say, "Yo, who are you?" they go unload a clip. Like maybe they said something about, like towards the door, we didn't hear it. And the story they tell is, well, I gave a couple commands and Melvin didn't open the door and I opened up a clip. It's just like, for me, I'm like, why? That just seems so senseless to me. So for me, when she walks in, she sees him on the couch. If someone's coming, I'm trying to be funny, y'all. I really am not. If someone's coming to steal and like rob your place, would he go for the ice cream and Netflix first and then go, all right, let me finish this up and then I'm going to continue to steal from her apartment?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
the scenario doesn't.
He doesn't, and he's looking around like, this looks like a cop's house.
There were just way too many signs to me.
Yes.
For her to make that kind of decision. I mean, she lived on the 3rd floor. If she had went to the apartment next to hers on the 3rd floor, I would understand that more than being on a completely different floor.
Oh, this wasn't her floor.
No,
what
he lived on the 4th floor.
She says she always parks a floor above her floor. And I'm like, maybe, parking decks, like maybe like parking was more available up there, but it's just like, okay. It was just hard because then she's like, then I walk to my apartment and I wish I didn't look at this because you can, again, guys on Court TV, you can legitimately watch this case. I wanted to like find a clip of where like maybe they ask her that on the stand, like so, or like maybe like they find somebody who's like the apartment wasn't even like it was on this end of the hall and her apartment's on this end of the hall, so that don't add up. Like it's a long walk once you enter in the apartment building. Like was it exactly around the same length? Again, that's hard to, again, guys, in a criminal justice room, it's hard to prove these things that she didn't just happen to like, I thought it was, because that is true. I've done that at hotels. Have you done that, Troy?
That's a hotel though. You don't live there. If I live here, I walk down this hallway every day after my shift, every day before my shift.
Right.
I recognize my neighbors' doors. I see what they may have hanging on them.
Or a placemat on the floor.
All type of things that I would recognize coming and leaving my home.
Right.
It is just there were too many signs. Like even if she mistakenly went to the wrong apartment, the key didn't work. Why would my key not work? I live here. Why would it all of a sudden not work? How does it go from my key didn't work to now all of a sudden the door was open?
So what is your thoughts on the whole situation? You think it was premeditated?
I don't believe that it was premeditated for her to kill him. I won't go as far to say that it was premeditated. I will say that I think that she maybe took advantage of an opportunity that she may have wanted to take to kill maybe not a black person, but a person.
I think she was in that mindset.
Yeah.
Because she came off a shift as a cop.
Now, this is new to me. I've never heard this concept. Please share with me this concept. So so you're saying as a cop, she wanted to feel the rush or
she was still in that adrenaline.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
like it's possible.
Like when you've went on a 12-hour shift and she's in a bigger city, bro. Like you talking about Dallas. You talking about heavy crime. You talking about real cocaine being moved. You talking about real stuff happening. Lynchburg also has stuff, but it's like at that town, I don't even know the kind of extent of stuff she's seeing. And on the mass scale. So I can imagine a cop being done with work, be like, whew. And remember, she was texting. So she was in that moment of tired where she's texting someone she shouldn't be texting, which is her partner, who's also her sexual love partner.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, she had a love affair with somebody at work?
Yes, bro.
Hey, bro, let's revisit this case.
you been, Troy?
I don't know. I've been under a rock.
Troy's like, hold up now. Wait, Shonda, don't mess with my emotions. Where have you been, Troy? This show's getting good.
Rock.
Yes, bro. So when she's in the car, she's texting him, and as you already know, you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, that's called fraternizing, right?
So she's already sleeping with her partner and hasn't told her bosses.
Which she tried to delete from her phone, by the way.
Because she knew.
Right.
They go, she's a cop. She said, oh, frick, they go check my phone. So from then on, she trying to set something up, like meet up later. So you can tell she's like, she's what does she want? Comfort, love. You know, she's in this moment of like, man, I need somebody that I care about. So when she enters into the apartment, all this stuff goes down, right? Now, the prosecution was using this as a way to show like she's not in the right mindset, and defense. Sorry, I think it was defense. I'm trying to use this like she was not in the right mindset during that day. But what I think is really hard with this case is, you know, she had still time. Even though she was texting this dude, she had still time. The weird thing for me is when she calls 911 on the timeline they show, she texts that same dude, says, I need you here. Like, instead of being like, babe, come through, like after you done, come get this loving. It's like, she's like texting like, hurry up, I need you now. And then she's like, I effed up.
She tried to scandal this joint?
No, she like
No, like the TV show.
Right,
like, like cover it up.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So as she's
where have I been?
During the 911 call, she's texting him. Because think about it. When you're in the moment of crisis,
Sure.
who do you call?
You call the closest one to you. Yeah.
So that builds into it for me. I was like, I agree with Melvin. I don't think it's premeditated, because I think she was so shook that seems real. Like if I ever find someone and fall in love and get married, that's the first person I'm calling. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh frick. Right now, it'd be my mom and dad. Like immediately, I'm like, I messed up. Let me call my mom and dad. You know? So that I knew, I was like, if it's premeditated, man, like I saw a lawyer on Twitter say, you usually see some things like she, you know, drags the body out. You know,
Like she had a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, someone said, well, she didn't resuscitate and she didn't do X, Y, and Z. And I think you could hear like with the audio when I saw it, it was like, she was like, hey buddy, like I think she was touched. She's probably just freaking out. She shot someone. I don't think she's thinking save his life. She's like, I effed up. I thought it was my apartment. My only issue is I think she was in the mindset of like, shoot him. As soon as he gave me any kind of aggressive, I think she was not in the right place of mind. I think she should have gotten like 20-something years. But I think when you look at the sentencing, when you look at the criminal statutes in place, it's just about right.
Truth be told, unless she got life or death, nobody would have been on. No one.
I ain't gonna say nobody. Black people.
Yeah, a lot of
black people. Not
a lot of black.
They don't
people
understand, like, you know, that we're trying not to kill, because you know what I'm saying. You always don't want to ever like put. That's why I don't believe in death penalty, because you can put someone innocent to death. And so like I know a lot of black people are like hurt, and they're like, yo, we need true justice, which is a life for a life. But that's not, I think, A, wise, and B, it's just we don't know for sure. You know, if it was premeditated and we could say like, yo, she was making complaints against him, she had issues with him, you see touches, you know what I'm saying? That's what, like, when you talk to lawyers, that's what they're looking for. And there wasn't enough there to say that it wasn't just like a mistake, you know? And I think that's why the jury, again, mostly black and women, chose 10 years. And they chose it as a crime of passion. You know, that was...
What the heck is that supposed to mean?
So a crime of passion is like, my buddy who's a lawyer said, exceed as they lessen the sentence.
Right.
So the what she got for murder, when they found her guilty, they go, okay, cool, so here are your options, 2 to 20 years. Now, if you choose option A, you got, 2 to like 10. Option B, you got 10 to 20. And they chose option A. So they said it was a crime of passion, meaning like you know. So my buddy explained to me like, Troy, you come home, somebody make a mistake, and you see somebody with Shaka, you go kill that man.
Oh, he did.
Right.
Melvin, I'm not even tripping. I've already thought about this. And that's exactly why you can't get away with it. Because you just said you thought about it.
Look, it's not a crime of passion if you thought about it. It's premeditated.
Exactly.
Hey, man, so I want that jury to be full of men who are married.
It ain't gonna be full of men that are married.
That's what I want.
It ain't gonna be full of men that are married.
That's what I want.
You live in Virginia, Central Virginia. At that, it's gonna be a jury full of white men.
I'm letting you know.
Troy's on
right
the witness
now.
stand like, I did it. Like, he
ain't gonna fight it.
He ain't even fighting
like
it.
I did it.
He ain't even. He's like,
and you gonna walk in there looking for sympathy as a married man whose feelings was hurt, hoping that you're gonna get some sort of grace, and it's not gonna come to you.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you
as
straight up.
light skinned as you are, it's not gonna come to you.
Hey man, first and foremost, see, we doing what they want us to do to each other. Go against each other, man.
I just want you to understand that your lightness is still blackness.
Look,
and it's not gonna get you any more sympathy from the jury than anybody else.
Bro, imagine like Troy with his lawyers like, but I'm light skinned. Can we work this in?
No.
He's like, what did Chris Brown do?
Right.
Because I know he beat Rihanna.
Bro. You about to open up a whole nother can of worms.
Serious.
But you mentioned that joint about capital punishment, that how you don't believe in the death penalty.
I don't, man.
You want
to know why? As a Christian, you want to know why?
Sure.
Philemon. I see Paul meet a man who, with all right to the laws of that day, should have been put to death. And he writes a letter because he knows the person that has the right to like have rule over this man's life.
Sure.
He's a Christian.
Sure.
It says, hey, this man has changed. And I want you to give him a second chance. And this is a culture that's way different than ours.
Sure.
Where, she looked at the wrong man, just a look. Hey, did you see it? Yeah, I think I saw it. Oh, I think I saw it. All right.
She gets stoned. Yeah.
And that was it. We were talking about that kind of culture. So for Paul to write a book like that and to write it so beautifully, to beseech a man to find forgiveness in his heart, that's what I see in Brand. You know, that kind of love, that kind of gospel. And so that kind of love has to be displayed. And I feel like for me, if I believe in the gospel and I believe in Jesus and I believe in the power of the gospel, I must be willing to forgive if I want to be forgiven. And I know I have my plate is so heavy that God could come to me and be like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And so I would hope in my death he would forgive me. So I must forgive. So whether it's murder, whatever, I hope to be a man like Brand. I'm not saying I will be. And so with that, I just don't believe that we should just end someone's life. I think, send them away. They rot in the prison. They spend their time. But you see too many cases of men, black men. Girl said he touched me something. We find DNA evidence finally comes out. Never even touched her. Mm-hmm. Spent 28 years. You know what we do? We give him millions and say we're sorry. But imagine if he gotten the punishment he could have deserved for rape, quote unquote, at that time. Death in some states. How sad that would be, a life lost. We don't know what we would have lost in the genius of that man or woman, So for me, I don't believe we as human beings should be the final say. So I believe it's God's.
So I will go back to what you said earlier, in which I totally agree with you when it comes to the process of people going to court, going through the process, trying to figure out everything that happened. Mm-hmm. I think if it is like undoubtedly like this person is guilty and they've done a mass murder, and they knew that they were doing it was premeditated, I do believe that forgiveness can be given. However, forgiveness can't always save you from the consequences of your actions.
Yeah,
so there are consequences that we have to reap because of our actions.
That's true.
And again, like if it's that unique case, like say like the Boston bombing or 9/11,
Dylan Roof.
Right. Dylan Roof, and you say, hey, Dylan Roof, is this premeditated? He's like, yeah. You hate black people? Yeah. and you put him to death, I'm not saying I would be against that in the essence of like I would I'd still be against some principle like that. I would just want that person to rot in jail. I don't know. I just feel like that person could still change. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a sin so great you can never change? Now, do you get a right to live your life? No, because you took too many lives that day, right? But maybe he changes his life around in jail. He writes books. He deters other racists. He starts doing talks. He explains how he became someone so race. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so, like, God can pull things out of people, man. For something inside of me, like Dylan Roof, Osama bin Laden, I just feel like if we're really going to say this is the sin, this is it, then I need to see that in the Bible.
I'm going to have to go case by case, but cases, bro.
Yeah.
I got to. Because
I don't know, man.
I understand what you're saying. Like
again, for killing someone.
Everyone can, like, the ultimate penalty for everybody who committed a crime, even murder, cannot be you get put to death. Especially like in a case where you didn't murder someone, you killed someone. Like, I was assaulted, I had to defend myself, and someone got killed in the process. Like, that's just out of defense. I should not get the death penalty for something like that. And there's, you shouldn't get the death penalty for stealing a piece of gum out of the grocery store, because if that's the case, I would have been dead at 5. Because I definitely did that. Right, and I watched my brother do it too, so we did it together. We're crime bosses.
Just snitching.
But
all right, Tekashi.
So I have to say I have to go case by case. Man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for a guy to bust out a window in a hotel and then shoot into a crowd of people.
In that Las Vegas shooting, we still don't know what happened, yo. Still don't. That's what's blowing my mind.
If he was still alive, if the supposed shooter, if that was the guy, supposedly he took his life. I honestly believe that should have been the punishment. Okay, all right. I give you another example. In a case where you do see someone shooting someone, and let's say, for instance, a police officer catches someone actually doing a crime, not suspicious of a crime, not trying to figure out if they did a crime, whatever case may be. They actually just committed a crime. They saw them do it. The body cam caught it, all that type of stuff. In order for them to stop said criminal, they may have to put them down.
During the act?
During the act, and that right there is justice served immediately. And if that is preventing that individual from hurting someone else, then I'm saying, hey, that's.
What do you think, Mel? Because I
was waiting for y'all to get to me.
Hey.
I was trying to let y'all talk it out.
Go ahead.
I actually want to first backpedal.
Okay.
To talk about the forgiveness aspect.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Mainly just because I feel like we are overlooking the justified feelings of black people. So we are talking about the police psyche and what they see on a daily basis, and everything that they take in, which can affect how they respond to things and stuff like that. But then we're not considering the experiences of the black community when you are in a situation where you consistently see in the media or just in life where it appears that black people are receiving harsher sentences for lesser crimes.
Yes.
Or where a drug dealer will have you, it will be sentenced to 25 years. And then you look at a situation where a cop shoots an unarmed black person and they're guilty or innocent, whatever it may be, and they receive no punishment or receive no justification. Every time you turn around, that's the message that's displayed to you. Yeah. So then you don't have a tolerance, I would say, built up for what you see as it relates to, police and things like that. So it's easy to then get on social media and complain or make negative comments or feel the hurt or not feel justified because even though she was convicted of murder, she only got 10 years. It's because you look at situations and whether you want to or not, you have to pay attention to the race that's involved in the situation and say if the roles were reversed, if she had walked into his apartment and he had a weapon and he killed her, is he killing a police officer? Is he gonna get the 10 years? Is he gonna get the sympathy?
Or if he was Asian, or if he was a older, white woman, or if he was Hispanic.
And are you also putting on him that if he was the police officer, walked into a white woman's apartment? Okay.
So it's you don't want to always say like, oh, Ray, black and white, black and white, black and white, but in certain cases, it's almost inevitable that you have to consider black and white. Most definitely in this situation. And I honestly believe if the roles were reversed, he definitely would have received a harsher sentence than she received for the act that committed against him, and there wouldn't have been a discussion of act of passion or anything else that was presented in the case. And that's tough to deal with as a black person, especially when people are always telling you to trust the system, believe in the system, follow the system work out. And when you constantly feel let down by the system, you kind of get to the point where you want to see the death penalty, or you want to see that immediate justice, or you want to see her receive life. So no matter whether they are put to death or given a life sentence, I think people forget that in situations like this, where with murder, 2 lives are taken. So the person's who passed or who was murdered's life is taken, and then the person who's incarcerated is taken. They're of no use to society at this point. They have no real life, quality life in any way. So 2 lives are taken in that situation, whether you look at the death penalty or not. A life sentence is a death penalty, in essence, because life without parole or anything like that. So I think for a lot of people, it's not necessarily about the death penalty or not, but feeling justified in my feelings, feeling like someone's finally hearing me, feeling like someone's finally humanizing me and not dehumanizing me by talking about my past or trying to come up with a reason to justify why my death is okay. And I feel for a lot of, especially African-American people, we're always put in these situations where we are looked at as being responsible for the forgiveness. Well, we got to give the forgiveness. We got to be the compassion. We got to do, all these things. But if the roles were reversed, no one is offering the passion. No one is offering the sympathy. No one is, what I'm saying? So we get the iron fist while everyone else gets the slap on the wrist type of thing. And I think that's where the anger comes from. That is where, people are... 10 years isn't enough. 20. I honestly would have been happy with 20 to 25 if they would have said 20 to 25. I wasn't expecting 10. And I was a little happy on the inside that we even got the conviction, because that's usually we don't even get that. So then it was like, at least before they even passed the sentence, I saw a bunch of people complaining like, oh, well, we gotta wait and see. We don't know. And I'm like, at this point, a win is a win. I'll take a win. To me, this is a win. Even if it isn't by the blowout that we wanted or whatever, this is a win. We got an official conviction. And in most cases, we haven't even seen that. So I think that those are things that we have to consider when we're talking about black people's response, and not just, dismissing what they feel and focusing only on how the police feel and what they encounter on a daily basis, because we all, encounter things in different ways, especially in high crime communities, as you mentioned earlier. So I think that that's something that people need to take or pay more attention to.
Mel, do you feel like with each of these cases of people getting shot, in your opinion, do you see it individual each case, or are you like, yo, bro, like, each one is just a stepping stone to the truth I'm trying to get people to see? You know what I'm saying? Like, so like if a cop here who's African American shoots X person, a white cop shoots this person, the white cop shoots whatever, we can get maybe 100 of them in a year, but they're from all over the U.S. You see a correlation between each one? That's what, when African Americans get on social media, it seems like they, they'll do the memes like side by side, and I'm like, but that's I don't even know. Like, it's like this case is unique here, and it's in Arizona, and this case is in Georgia.
Oh yeah,
I definitely feel like all of the cases are unique, but I feel at the same time that the process is the same. So while the deaths may be as a result of different things or different scenarios or whatever, I feel like the process of the justice system is the same in those cases, and I think that's the bigger truth that people are upset about. It's the constant comparison. Even when you get into the facts, of course, like a situation with Dylan Roof, killed all those innocent people, taken unharmed. You know what I mean? Like unharmed, unscathed.
Yeah,
he's a threat to
yeah.
the community. Obviously, he's already committed murder against several people. So why does he get to walk free?
No one accidentally shot him.
No one accidentally shot him. No one mistook anything for a firearm or anything like that. But for us, it's, I feared for my life, or I suspected that he had, or whatever, or that phone looked like a gun, or, it's like, why does that come up for us in California, in Vermont, in Florida, in, wherever, even though they're all over here, the process is the same. So it's like, it starts with a decision from a police officer, usually white, against someone that looks like us, who then makes a decision, and after that realizes that they made the wrong decision, and then there is this process that begins of trying to find something to justify what happened. So let's find something in his past or something currently that we can use to kind of put in an effort to smear his name, dehumanize him or whatever, to create sympathy with the community that this police officer was just doing his job. Instead of maybe taking an opportunity.
Works out like that.
I mean, sometimes.
Well, I'm saying, like, even when they try to criminalize the person, the victim, it does fuel the people who are like, see, yeah, we're pro police or whatever the case may be, but for those people, African Americans specifically, like, it's like, yo, first of all, his past was not taken in consideration at that moment.
Right. He
He didn't know their past. So there was no way that you can take that in consideration in the decision that you made in that split section.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. So, man, this has been good. So with the verdict, before we head on to the one of the most part, I really want to touch on Brant's final words, and then we've kind of already talked about criminal justice system and race, but we can talk a little bit about what we want to see change, and then we can go into the last section of where do we go from here. So, like, with the verdict, just to wrap that one up. So, do we all feel? I will say this. I felt that 10 years was too little, and then I talked with a friend of mine who's a lawyer and talked about the case, and then I realized 10 years is probably what she was gonna get, because once they went with a crime of passion and it wasn't like something else, just based upon like the statutes in place, that's what she was gonna get. But do we feel like 10 years is fair? And if not, does the race of the jury and judge play any factor? Because I'm like, I don't know. It's like we don't have anyone else to turn to, and it's usually like, oh, look, the jury's all white. It's like the jury is. I mean, and especially in today's culture, black women and black people was most of the jury.
Well, let me even say this. As you mentioned, Melvin, or you mentioned earlier, y'all the only two people I've been talking to, that the defense tried to have the case moved to another county.
Yep.
So that she could have people of her peers, quote unquote peers, who I think they were looking to go to a more conservative county. That's what the case may be. And as we all know, the majority of conservative people, I'm making a generalization, what we talked about not doing earlier.
Here it comes.
Majority of the conservative position is predominantly white. And so,
especially in Texas.
especially in Texas. And so we see that that's the case for that. And if people can say, oh, yeah, I agree with that, then let's go back and revisit some of these cases we've had in the past where these young men, young black men who have been in front of people who have jurors
Who don't look like them.
who do not look like them. And case in point, what's that movie on Netflix? I totally forgot about it.
When they see us.
Huh?
When they see us.
When they see us. What the Central Park 5, 6?
Central Park
5.
If you look at that, if you look at their case, nobody on that jury looked anything like them. And they presented that case to the sense of whereas like these guys are criminals, you just need to go ahead and go on. You see what they look like, don't they look like criminals? And the kids over there just crying, yeah, he looked like he did it. Let's go ahead and just throw him in. But what I want to try to say is, if in this case you can obviously see that it was that this person be in front of people that they look like. So let's go back and let's look at some of these cases where people were in front of people that did not look like them. Maybe we need to because if that's the case, then a lot of people have received quote unquote unfair trials, and we need to look at these things again.
Yeah.
But if we're going to say that those things in the past, if those juries and those trials in the past were fair, even when they weren't in front of people that look like them, then we have to say that this trial was fair.
That's where I stay. I think, I'm not a big believer that like, I think we have to be so careful with this whole race thing, man. Just be like, let her do that would have just been so, I think, toxic, because then you're gonna have everybody else after that be like, well, okay, all right, then I want all black people on mine, and then even then I just feel like, how do we have a conversation, like how do African Americans handle it when like, majority black, jury sends an African American man to again, most people are not going to court TV, they're not reading the briefs, they're not reading the sentencing. They're not looking at who the judge was, who's the prosecutor, how good's their prosecutor, how good's the defendant, how good's the defense, what's his team, like it's just like there's people don't have time, and so what they rather would do is just get upset at whatever the first couple of things they see on Facebook, and I think that's where it's dangerous. And I think
oh my gosh,
like if she had gotten that, I think I would have been more upset about this case, because then it'd be like, man, she only got 10 years because of that. I think, again, when they read the evidence, they felt that like there wasn't enough evidence, even though she did some things. She didn't resuscitate. She shot to kill the man. She felt threatened. She said, I was shooting to kill. Shot him 2 times.
She admitted that she was shooting to kill.
Well, with the intention to kill him. Yeah, because she said he was attacking her. But again, it's like,
I would have shot somebody too who came into my own house.
She only shot him twice.
In your own house.
My own house.
Not their house that you think is your house.
Right, exactly.
Keep saying it, because that's the rationalization that people go through. Well, I would have done that if someone came to my house. It's not your house though.
Right.
You in somebody else's house.
Right.
So that's the thing. That's the key.
But here, okay, let's make sure like she thought if I enter another house in downtown, that I thought it was mine, and it wasn't mine, but I thought. So I'm in the mindset, this is my apartment, and I'm gonna protect it at all costs. Then that's different than other avenues. So I could see where she's like,
bro, trying to come over here to your house tonight, which I've never been over here before, and there's no street lights outside. That's the reason why I text him like, hey, bro, which house is yours?
Because I live by where it's safe. I live by some people that they don't want no street lights on the.
Bro, let me tell you, I know who my person is. I'm a 6'2", 250-pound black man, light-skinned
black man.
Okay, I knew you was gonna say that's the reason why I said it first. I'm a light-skinned man. I know that. However, I know.
That man Melvin said
my stature
before 1940, they'd have been like.
Bro, let's talk about this forgiveness piece though. Let's talk about Brent. Right.
Talk about Brent.
Yeah, let's talk about Brent.
Talk about it. How you feel about it?
So the combination of all of this, I think, with all the heat and all the anger, Brant, this was the most beautiful display of the gospel I had seen in a while.
And let me even say
In
this.
a while.
Some people have said that this was the awesome display of weakness.
I'm not gonna call it. I ain't gonna call it weakness.
Let's go into the negatives, because I think all the positives, we all know what the positives are. Mm-hmm. But the negatives I really want to talk about, because I was surprised. I was like, how can his brother, who said, hey, the reason I'm saying these things is because my brother would have wanted me to say these things. Mm-hmm. That's how much of a good Christian he was. That's how true, that's how much he believed in God. He said he would have been like, tell her about the gospel. Mm-hmm. And that's power. So I just don't understand the backlash. But I'm curious y'all's thoughts.
I understand the backlash.
You do?
Yeah, I understand the
interactions today about it.
You had some interactions today? I understand.
Towards the brother,
Yeah, I understand black people's backlash. I understand their backlash towards them.
Okay, go ahead.
Share,
and it goes to what you were saying about the ultimate sign of weakness. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that...
Well, first of all, before you articulate, let me ask you this question. Do you think it was a sign of weakness personally?
I don't think it was a sign of weakness at all personally. Just because of being active in the Christian faith and understanding forgiveness and the teachings of forgiveness and stuff like that, I understand the strength that it takes to forgive someone who may have faulted you, or hurt you in a way, something like that. It actually takes a lot of strength to look at that person and say, you know what, you did do something to me, but I'm going to forgive you for that, or I'm going to be okay anyway, in a sense. And that's a hard thing to do, no matter what the fault is. So I don't definitely view it as a sign of weakness at all. I wouldn't call him weak for that.
So why do you think people called it weak then?
Because a lot of people view forgiveness as, if I forgive you, then I'm saying what you did is okay. That's how they view it, though. It's not true, but that's how people view it, and that's why he's getting so much backlash, because in the eyes of us, and it's not just the conviction. Of course, people wish that she had got more time, but it was the hug, it was the officer fixing her hair in the courtroom, it was the judge giving her a hug, and it's just like, when have you ever seen a judge hug a murderer?
The judge gave her,
like she's a murderer at this point, a documented murderer.
Gave her a hug and a Bible. So the judge is a Christian. I will say that it was also crazy. I saw this that they filed a complaint against the judge, because you're not supposed to show any partiality.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
That was unusual.
As Christian as I am, I don't think she should have.
It's unusual,
right?
So
I think she should have left it to the son
and left it alone.
But it was so moving. She probably maybe was led to that. Yeah. But again, it's like, here's the thing. Forgiveness is about the forgiver, not the forgiven.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I don't like the correlation to it says what you did is okay. No. It says, I'm not gonna let what you did rule over my life anymore.
Sure.
Yeah, Yeah. And so that's where I got frustrated, was that this brother is just saying out loud, I hope you find Jesus. My brother would hope the same thing for you. Mm-hmm. I hope that, and he said this, if you didn't mean to kill him and murder him, if you truly are sorry, if you truly are remorseful for this, then I forgive you. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the guy just, it was just amazing. And he's like, I don't hate you. I love you. Because again, hate is it's just antithetical to the gospel. So I just felt like, for me, he had done a lot of people weren't listening to all the things he was saying.
Oh, heck no.
You know what I'm saying? So again, it's like the dude saying, my brother is a strong Christian. There's literally videos of him leading worship. It's like, he wouldn't want me to come up here and be like, F you racist white lady. I would have been dishonoring my brother.
Sure.
And so with this moment that I have, let me give you a hug and whisper probably the gospel to her. Mm-hmm. And I hope you find him.
As a matter of fact, man, so I said that I had 3 interactions today. Three people who had different opinions than myself with his whole forgiveness moment. The first person that I interacted with said that he did the forgiveness of her for her, and it wasn't for him. It's like, no, he didn't do this for himself. He did it for herself, for her to feel better about herself and to change. And I said, my response was, I believe he did do that, but that was a byproduct, not the initial purpose of the reason why he actually gave forgiveness to her. My personal opinion is he gave forgiveness to her because that is his process of starting to heal. That's and some people don't know about what healing looks like because we've all just been walking around hurt.
That's true.
And a part of healing, I'm pretty sure a lot
with
of us
weights on us, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of us have heard the phrase before that forgiveness. What's his phrasing? Vengeance or something against somebody is drinking poison, hoping that someone else dies when you don't forgive. But when you do forgive, you actually get an opportunity to deal with that thing right in that moment and say, hey, I know I'm recognizing what you did was wrong, because that's some things that some of us don't realize. And they say forgiveness is saying what Melvin was saying earlier, that people get the opinion of that when I forgive you, I'm saying that you're okay for what you did. No, I recognize what you did was wrong.
You don't have to forget.
Yeah.
That's the thing about forgiveness. No one's forgetting.
Yeah. No one's forgetting.
You'll never forget what she did.
Not at all.
Bro, once all the TV cameras go away.
Well, this other guy that I interacted with, he said that we as humans are not capable of forgiving people. So I don't think he could really forgive. 2, only the person. This is the 3 things he said. He said, and then the other thing was only the Almighty can forgive, has the ability to forgive. I said, okay. And then the third thing was to forgive is to forget.
Was this on Facebook?
Yeah, this was on Facebook.
I knew it was on Facebook.
Oh yeah, it's on
that
Facebook.
sounds like a Facebook statement.
yeah.
That's exactly. I was like, what is
That's
this?
a Facebook statement.
What's this dude talking about?
I said to the first 2 parts, I said, I totally agree with you. I believe that humans cannot forgive naturally. And I believe that the Almighty is the only one who can forgive. But let me pose a question to you. And this is what I typed to him. I said, let me pose a question to you. Is the Almighty mighty enough to move his creation towards forgiveness? And if you answer no, then the Almighty's not mighty.
That's good.
And if you answer yes, then he has the ability to move people towards an attribute that he himself embodies. And then to reply to the part where he said to forgive is to forget, I said, no, sir, that is not the case. And the prime example is the forgiveness that I've had to give in my life. The primary person I had to forgive in my life was my father. Mm-hmm. And so my father was not in my life for the first 20 some odd years of my life. And I hated him for that. And one day the Lord asked me to forgive my father, and I did. I forgave my father. And once I was able to do that, then I was able to begin a relationship with my dad and pursue to getting to know who he is and even share my gifts with him. Now, and I said, I don't forget the fact that he abandoned me for the first 20 years of my life. I don't forget the fact that he was in the lives of my 4 younger sisters, but not me. I constantly think about that stuff, and I constantly forgive him, and the love for him overrides that pain that I originally had. Yeah. And how can you actually have love or display love without pain being present? Because to love someone who's always done well for you, that's not true love.
That's easy.
That's easy. True love is when you're able to show it to someone who does not deserve it.
That's good.
And so that's one of the things that I share with him today is like, I can forgive you. So basically, I felt like he was trying to say, you can only forgive people for petty things. No, you can also forgive people for big things like murder. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy. Forgiveness is not a road for the weak. It is a long journey that takes forever to walk through and is not meant for those who are weak at heart.
Yeah. That's what I agree
powerful.
with you. I just think that most of the frustration with his forgiveness for people is simply off of the fact that they feel like forgiveness is a
Right.
The thing that the black man has to do, the African American
that they have to do, or that we're always put in a position to do, like as if it's our responsibility to continue.
That reaction comes from pain.
Yeah, so
that reaction comes
it's
from
the
pain.
pain and the hurt that we feel, and then it was kind of just like, for some reason, people feel like that withholding of forgiveness is that last piece of power that I have over a situation. Like the last piece of control that I have. Like withholding that forgiveness from you, to me, is like I'm taking a little bit of control that I have left. Like, you already hurt me. What else you gonna take from me? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let me hold on to this unforgiveness, because now I feel I feel good about myself. I feel like I'm making you hurt as bad as I hurt right now by not forgiving, and then the forgiveness to a lot of people appears as a sign of weakness, because it's just like, if I forgive you, then I'm saying that what you did to me was okay.
Hurt people
that's
hurt
why
people, man.
You know, that's why they're so angry. So a lot of people are looking at it from that particular point, because you're looking at it from the eyes of a Christian, someone who practices the Bible, believes in Jesus and everything like that. Everyone is not on that spiritual level that you're on, where you understand forgiveness, or you are strong enough to understand forgiveness in order to practice said forgiveness. So I think that a lot of times Christians, because all teachings, we're not the only ones who preach forgiveness.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we tend to think that because that's what we believe, everyone else believes the same way. So you're looking at it from where your belief standpoint.
Sure.
If I'm not on that belief standpoint that you're on, to me, unforgiveness is a sign of weakness. That's good. It does make me weak to forgive you. You know, so to a lot of black people, it felt like a slap in the face, kind of like a whose man's is this? You know what I'm saying? Type of moment. Because it's like, she already killed him. He was black. You already know what the social climate is around police and African American men, in essence. And then it was like, we seemed like we were winning. You know, we got the conviction, and then we didn't get the result that we wanted.
We fumbled on the
it felt like Atlanta. It felt like Atlanta in the Super Bowl 28-3. You know what I'm saying? Like, it looked like we winning. We on our way to something, and then it was like, okay, 10 years. So then that put even more rage in us, because then we're like, well, if it was anybody else, we would have got the maximum. We would have got the worst end of it. But because of, you know, race and, you know, all those things, they'll look at it like she got off because she's white and blonde or whatever. Right. So then that added on to, I'm gonna forgive you in public, you know, on the stand in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? That was like, you know, that was all we had left. To them, that was like, that's all we had left. The hatred and the unforgiveness. You could have kept that. Like, we supposed to hold on to that. You gave that away.
What would have happened? What would have happened if Brant would have been on that stand and said "F you" and gave the double bird?
Oh, black people would have. I'm with you. They would have got Brant t-shirts. He would have been a t-shirt
in the courtroom. They would have had to be like, Bishop, like, settle down.
He would have been a t-shirt. They would have took whatever he said and put it on a t-shirt. They would have sold it for merch.
Right. T.I. would have.
That's the type of energy that they want. That
rap
we expect.
songs.
And on top of that, what would that have gotten us as a people? I think, and this is going to be out the box, so a lot of people may not agree with me.
Lord have mercy.
A lot of people may not agree with me, but I think as a people, that would have strengthened us. I think it definitely would have strengthened us, because it would have seemed as though we are finally coming from this place of oppression.
Oh, yeah.
To being, or getting a taste of what it feels like to be the oppressor. But then we would have became the oppressor. And that in itself caused generational hurts already. So then we would have been in a position where we're causing more hurt going forth. And I understand, like, we want for the quote unquote oppressor, the people who have put us under, to actually to feel the same pain that we have. But I think this is gonna sound bad, but I think that we forgot that, and this is not I gotta preface this. This is not
too late.
This is not a saying of all lives matter type thing. That's not it. But what I am trying to say, no, listen. But what I am trying to say is,
Don't do it, Troy.
we cannot function. He
gonna do it.
as a human race without one another. We can't. I need my black brother. I need my Latino brother. I need my Caucasian brother. I need these people in my lives, in my life, because they all bring different things to my life. I know, and I feel as though this was an opportunity to help try to bridge that gap that has been separating two races for such a long time.
I think some people are so hurt that it ain't gonna happen that way.
Oh yeah,
You know,
it definitely won't. But
that's the hard thing about this.
Melvin, why you give me the conceited lip?
Because he's.
Am I not lying? Do we not need one another?
Do you feel?
I'm not saying that we don't need one another. I wouldn't say that. Like you're talking from your personal experience. That was a very American thing to say.
Oh,
That we need our Caucasian brother. We need our,
Expound.
whatever. That's
Expound.
a very
Expound.
American thing to say.
Okay.
Because there are plenty of cultures. Just America's like a melting pot of different ethnicities and stuff like that. So
Sure.
imagine, let's say, traditional Africa.
I really like what Melvin's going here. This is something I've had.
Traditional Africa, where Africans, there are white people.
This is my argument against people that say America's not great. I'm like, yo, this is the only place you see this experiment. His point is, you go outside the U.S. I was in the Middle East, and I had people taking pictures with me that were like, oh, this dude's got to be in the NBA. I ain't never seen a black man this tall. And I think that's the thing that be blowing my mind is that America, as open as the experiment is, no one's been like, you know what we should try? Diversity. Japan? No.
Nope.
Most people feel like Europe's diverse. It really isn't. They just travel amongst each other.
Okay, so
But they ain't trying to.
We need each other. We need each other as people. I don't think we need each other
as cultures.
Like as it relates to race. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
So
I wholeheartedly agree
if there
with
was
you
a
about that.
community of only black people,
Yes.
they could survive as only black people
Sure.
because they have each other.
But
So
we have no choice in the environment and the society that we live in.
Right.
So why
Right.
should we fight against it? Why should we fight against trying to work towards harmony?
I don't think that people are fighting against working towards harmony. I think that people want harmony. I think that black people want harmony with white people. And I think that is the frustration because they feel like they're not getting the harmony that they seek. Basically, what black people are asking is to see me. See me. Like, let me be black and see me at the same time. You know what I mean? And I don't think that black people feel seen by our white counterparts. And that's why it's so easy to dehumanize us to the point where you'll shoot an unarmed black man at a police officer, even though you're to protect and serve all people.
It's hard.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that is the frustration.
Minority living is hard. Minority living is hard. Like, you're not the majority. So like your hair type is not the majority.
Right.
Your humor is not the majority. And that's why I think I just look at African American culture. I at least feel really proud of how they've really become so intricate to this culture. With comedy, with style, hip hop.
He started with comedy.
Sports.
No, but I'm thinking
clothing,
that, yeah.
art. There's so many things. Like so many things. And I think for me, America isn't America without the African American experience.
Oh, wholeheartedly.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
So I think that's why for me it's just I just see when I come being Nigerian and being from a culture that's outside of the U.S. Though I didn't live there long, all my roots are there, and that culture is way different than this culture. And I think what I love about this culture and why I was like, man, this is a place for me is because I love different cultures, I love different people. But just so unique how in America this is possible. P. Diddy is possible as a minority. I just don't. What's crazy is that when you go outside the U.S., the minority class of those other countries aren't the same as here. You know what I'm saying? It's like you a minority in, I mean, let's just pick a country. It's hella hard to see a lot of people rise to the top. You know, a lot of countries are trying to do it right now, but it's not the same as in America. You're talking about 330 million people trying to coexist from Muslim all the way across the board. And so I agree with a lot of African Americans that are like, see me meaning like, listen, if my hair's in the afro, don't mean it gotta be shaved and short like yours.
Right.
Because you like clean cut.
Let's not even talk about
You like,
the school
you know, like,
hairstyles,
hey,
man.
I gotta wear khakis, or
Yeah.
if I dress this way, it means I'm not professional.
Right.
Or if I talk with this kind of lingo, you don't see that. You see that as a negative, but you don't see the country accent as a negative because you're used to it. I can definitely see some of those things that they're definitely true.
Now look, I wasn't trying to say
All lives matter.
that all lives matter, but I am trying to say that love should be one of the ultimate things that
That's
we
what
can be
Brand-
able to express with one
what Brand
another
showed.
between the racial barriers.
Do you guys believe, as we wrap this baby up, do you guys believe that our criminal justice system can get to a place where we all feel it's fair? Because my thing is, well, for those listening to this podcast, America is 50 nations unified under one flag. A state department outside the U.S. is a country. So you're talking about 50 mini countries that live within the a kind of a cohesion, a union together. So when we are talking about the criminal justice system as a whole, the reason things are hard to move left and right is because back in the day, Troy says, I'm the biggest, baddest dog. He kills a couple people. We get hurt, scared. And we're like, well, I don't want to die. All right, Troy's king. And whatever Troy said went. And
I like that time, especially if I was the king back then. That was just,
right. And then now we say, hey, if you want to, smoke weed, these are the states you can smoke weed at. If you really don't care about smoking weed, you don't care, but you like to be active and outdoorsy, here are the states. You have options. You get to freely move and live wherever you want. Kind of like Europe. But laws and everything are unique in that there's state laws and there's federal laws. So when I look at the criminal justice system and we say we want changes, the 13th Amendment, we want to see things changed. We don't realize how many checks and balances are already in place, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment. We don't realize also that, some of the things we've already put in, like, hey, these criminal cases, those are convicted by a jury, not a judge, not one person. Has to be a majority of a jury, There's some things we've put in place to try and help people because we're trying to create some sort of a standard, but there is no perfect system. So when I think about when I talk to my friends who are in law and we're trying to say change the criminal justice system to make it more fair for, when an unarmed black man gets shot and things like that, we have to have this conversation of like, what does that mean? Because each unarmed black man getting shot was a different situation,
Sure,
in a different state,
sure,
with different circumstances, and the cop was not always white. So what does that mean? So what do y'all think about that?
Melvin, I got an opinion. But you want to kick us off?
No, I'll wait till you share.
So
Just don't all lives matter me.
I'm not going. Look, man, I wasn't trying to all lives matter you, man. All lives do matter, but I'm just saying. But okay.
Right.
Anyway.
We are saying.
That's not the point of.
I'm about to go off. You don't see his hat, don't do it.
So, you asked the question: will the justice system get to a point to where it's fair for everyone?
It's the black community, in their eyes.
Yeah. And I am honestly going to say the answer is no. And the reason being is because the justice system is made of imperfect people. And I think that as long as imperfect people are in charge, then we will not see justice for all. We can work towards it and we can try to do as best as we can. And I think people can make some genuine effort. But as long as people are a part of it and they have their own biases and they have their own stances as far as like what they believe to be true, because people can sign up to be police officers, they can sign up to be judges, they can sign up to be lawyers and all that type of stuff. But we see on a regular basis people getting hemmed up even though they signed this oath to do things that are right. You see corrupt police officers that are moving drugs in cities. You see lawyers that are taking payments under the table because of the mob. I only know that because I've watched movies. I haven't actually did that myself.
This guy.
And you see judges that can be bought by people. You know what I'm saying? So as long as we have people in it that are not willing to wholeheartedly embody the law, then I don't think we're gonna see anything like that. And I also say this too: the law doesn't always give room for what we all seek when we are all in trouble, and that is mercy. If we were to hold to a law that is law, we will never see the thing that we all seek, and that is mercy. Because if a law says that you steal something, regardless of what value it is, you have to get that punishment. There's no slap on the wrist. There's no don't do it again.
Bro.
Man, I remember when I was 17 years old. I think I was 17 years old. I got caught stealing out of a convenience store, and the police came because the people in the store said they had my license tag. I was like, ain't no need for me to run.
You are a terrible criminal.
Either they gonna come get me right now, or they gonna come get me at my grandma's house. And I did not want that to happen.
Ooh,
so the police come,
down.
they say, yo, what did you steal? I said, I stole XYZ. And they was like, how old are you? I was like, I'm 17. They was like, oh, we can't arrest you. So they let me go, kept my name, called me back within sent the letter home, told my parents, and then they sent me to like this long meeting where there were like a whole bunch of other kids that also stole.
It was a convention.
I don't know what it was. And they was basically like, all right, now they showed us a bunch of videos. They talked through a bunch of stuff. I was like, bro, this joint is so boring. I will never steal ever in my life ever again. But that was a slap on the wrist. That was mercy being shown towards me. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like coming out of that, I was like, I'm so glad I got past that. But if we were to ever have a law that everyone abides by, then no mercy will ever be given to anyone of any level.
And it's hard too, because like, if you do mercy? Remember the law.
That's exactly that was going to be my point.
You know?
What's your point
about mercy? You keep bringing it up, but it'll even if that wasn't to play, how do you, I guess, qualify the level of mercy that you give to each situation or circumstance? You know, so then it's still I feel like it would be in the same.
That's what I'm saying. So much goes into it. Mm-hmm. So much goes into it.
That's what I feel like happened in this Geiger case. Mm-hmm. You know, she was given mercy according to her profession and things like that, but that's the frustration in the argument with black people. Where is the mercy on the other side?
Oh yeah,
for us, and that is the justice system. Do I think that it's ever gonna be to a point where it's fair for everyone, or we as black people feel like it's fair for everyone? I would say probably not. I think that even if I feel like black people feel like the system was more fair if there wasn't such an imbalance of situations where white people on average receive lesser sentences than black people, which is a fact. Black people always receive harsher sentences than our white counterparts. And if we even saw that this white man committed the same crime as this black man, they both got the same 15 years, people would have more faith. White man and black man commit the same crime, the white man gets the 5, the black man gets the 15.
Right.
You know, so that is the.
But here's something that when I was looking at, when I was studying this, I was like really trying to think about this point, man, because I feel you, Mel, on that. But I think like one of the hardest things when you start to like talk to people in this field is there's so many other ramifications to sentencing. It's like, well, did they both oh wait, the black man has 3 felony charges in the past that were acquitted, and this is his 4th, or like 2 strikes on him. The white guy had 1. What were the laws in that state? You know, were they in the same state, same jurisdiction? Those all. I just feel like even during the case, is the prosecutor really good, or is he kind of like not that good? We don't ever talk about that. You know, is the defense good? So does he have a good defense lawyer, or is he not that good?
Oh, so I
you know what I'm saying?
What you're saying, like in Virginia, if I had a defense lawyer, if I was on trial and I had a defense lawyer that sucks, I'm going to get 20 off top. But if I was in California and I had the awesomest dude, I got 20 days of probation.
Right. It's like there's so many, like people don't want to discuss, like
it's so many factors.
Yes, it's like, so like, did the dude have a good lawyer? Was the other side, the prosecution, did they have a good lawyer? Was the judge a fair judge? Were the facts, like, it's just so, like, I just realized when I read into this case, a jury full of African Americans who would have more than likely sentenced to 20 years sat and looked at the case and said, race aside, I kind of feel like it was like a crime of passion. She made a mistake, but she still needs to go to jail. So they charged her. The prosecution wanted they had tried to get murder and what's it called, manslaughter. The jury felt straight up it was just murder, and found her guilty on that. So they tried to get all these charges. They felt like, okay, we're gonna give her for these. You know, it's like they sit here and they say, they give you a series of questions. So from what I understand from just researching, talking to friends who are lawyers. And they asked them, like, option A or option B. All right. Based upon that, option A or option B. It's just, and it's a lot. And it's someone's life on the line. I think if we were all sitting there, we'd be like, because remember, we all have to live with that. So if we send her to the chair, if we find her guilty for 20-some years, do we sleep at night knowing for a fact that this lady that did not just get home, was looking to get some love making on with her partner in crime. She had Netflix on the mind, was shook to find somebody in her apartment. It was not her apartment. Made the wrong decision and said, frick, I made the wrong decision. And then had to like scramble, and then was like, why am I not resuscitating? And remember, all of this is going on within like 10 minutes, 10, 20 minutes. Like, if you see the timeline, it's like 9:58, she calls the 911. 10:04, she gets off the phone call. In between that, she sends a couple texts. Cops start showing up at 10:05, 10:06. It's like things happen pretty quickly. So it's like when people say she didn't resuscitate, you're talking about, again, 10, 20 minutes. It's not always what we think. It's not she was sitting there for an hour and he's like, please help. It's like she's freaking out. There's help coming on the way. She's texting. Because also she realizes, remember, she's a cop, so she knows they gonna find out about me, and
actually everything you just said, and then you said that she was a cop. That question makes me question how good of a cop she was.
Exactly,
bro. If you shot and killed somebody and you didn't even attempt to try to resuscitate, I know you have to at least make an attempt. I know, right? Because Obey, you've been doing really well of trying to toe that line to make sure you're not tipping on both sides, and you've been trying to make sure that you give an understanding.
Trying to get Mel on me now. He said, "All right,
you were trying to give.
It's now time
on behalf of the black community, and then you're trying to give her some outs. But man, the more things that are said,
I don't see any.
I don't see no outs for this lady at all. I don't see any,
bro. And again, I will say this for those who probably are already mad. First off, they saw us doing a podcast about it, and we're already mad. I am saying, I believe she killed him. I believe she did it with intent to kill him. Not premeditated, but with I'm not doing any other option but killing this person.
Right.
And I believe she should have gotten 20 years. But when I research, when I remove my emotions, and again, black pain, I understand that you don't want to think with when you're hurt and you're grieving, you don't want to think with your mind, you know? I got that. But when you sit down and just calm down, go to court TV, watch the case, when you hear the evidence brought up, when you look at the whole thing, and not just little tidbits of like, because that's what always happens. You know, she moved her hair this way. And CNN breaks a clip. Look at this. She smirks. You know, it's like 2 minutes, yo. You're talking about 3 days of legit back and forth. And you gonna give me 2 minutes and Don Lemon's gonna be like, she did it. You know, when I say, yo, really look into this case. And at the end of the day, do you think if you want her to get 40 plus years, whatever, you know, when you look at lawyers talking about this, they're like, did she take his body out, try and hide it? Did she have issues with him before this situation? No. Nothing. Do we even know if they knew each other before this situation?
There's no evidence that shows that they know each other.
So
there's no evidence that shows that they knew each other in any way.
Oh, I thought they did know each other.
No, they didn't know each other.
So that's what I'm saying.
Bro, I know nothing about this case.
Clearly, dude.
He represents Facebook right now. Where it's like,
basically,
you see what I'm
Facebook
saying?
and Instagram.
That's what exactly. So it's like before y'all
Hey, bro,
get
don't
upset.
insult me like that. We can catch.
Yeah, you
catch these
definitely-
hands
you're a
real quick.
Facebooker.
We can catch these hands.
You're a
real-
But you
Facebooker.
know how light skinned people be, bro.
Yeah.
Hey man, hey, y'all gonna chill on that?
You're a Facebooker. Definitely.
But see, that's the thing, man. So that's why I'm like, will the criminal justice system change? I think things are already happening. I think you're seeing good DAs being put in. I think you're seeing great lawyers being brought in. I think you're seeing people with hearts really trying to change the system in healthy ways. And I think it's going to happen. But I don't know if the extent will be what we want, because we want a perfect system. And kids, there are
it's never gonna
no
be perfect.
It's not gonna happen.
perfect systems.
No, bro.
You know?
Because it's gonna be perfect for one person, but it is not gonna be perfect for someone
another
else.
person.
Exactly. And then I guess the last thing we can talk about is, you know, where do we go from here? Because I know there will be another shooting.
Unfortunately.
Why you gotta say it? And it's so true.
But again, because guys, we're talking about the margins. We give people guns to help. Again, thin line. Nobody wants to go back to the Wild Wild West where somebody just shows up to Melvin's house and he's grabs the rifle off the top of his kitchen sink, pumps once, tells his wife. I literally was watching a Western like that. I was like, yo, the Wild Wild West
It was gutter, bro.
Bro, it's like we don't realize what do you want to see happen? Because back in the day, dude came with a strap and said, that's my wife now. These are my kids. This is my house.
Like duels used to happen on a regular basis. Hey, meet me at high noon. We about to have a duel.
You see what I'm saying?
One of us ain't coming out alive.
So when you have police, it's like, do you want all the police to be black? Like, is that going to change anything? Like, what do we want? So it's like, I think we have to leave some margin that like there will be bad decisions made by cops, because if human beings, until we get to iRobot, where it's a machine like, Mr. Melvin, you were jaywalking. That's a ticket. Please give me your ID number. And there's no, you know what I'm saying? I think that's where we're going to eventually move to, where it's just the robot and it's like, he has a camera and we see everything and we know that he doesn't even know what race is because it's not programmed into him. And then we're going to finally be forced to address us as human beings. Because I think that's where we got to move to. But yeah, I mean, where do we go from here? I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer I can give to anyone that's grieving. I know that I'm with you though.
Can I say where we should not go?
Yes.
I don't know where we can go. We should work towards as being able to work with one another as much as we can. But where we should not go is to the opposite end of anarchy. I know
exactly. Like what happened in Dallas.
Like
dude just start shooting up cops left and right. That's
like, bro, that's not the way to do it. Because if anything, that gives, for the individual who says that the white man, the police officer, is the oppressor, you're giving more fuel to them. And when you do situations like that, I'm saying to that person who thinks like that, I am not a person who thinks like that myself. But what we should not do is we should not go to the other end of complete anarchy, rebellion against anyone, Only rebel. That's kind of funny. I'm catching myself saying that because a lot of the rebellion that has happened has been good changes, like the rebellion in.
Come on, Troy.
Now
I
hold
see,
on. Now,
I see
hold
you
on.
getting there. I see you getting
Hold on.
there.
Hold on.
Come on over.
Like,
Hey, you got another hat?
Come on over to the. Come on over to the X hat.
listen.
Hey, leave
I think the civil righteous of rebellion of the 1960s,
Yes.
when there were the people who sat in the diners that were all white and sat at the counter, and then they were treated so badly, like, and it was captured on camera.
Yeah.
And people can actually see stuff like that with people doing evil to people who are just sitting at a counter.
Yeah.
Like, that is, in my sense, civil disobedience that we can't applaud that. But to the point of where we're being malicious and trying to kill other people, I can't applaud that though.
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing is, I think our hope is going to be not found in this world, and so for me, it's like, since I know that, I just don't. I'm going to fight for justice. I think justice has to happen, but I think what we all have to understand is if we're going to look for it in man, we will always be let down. History just tells us time and time again. So, I mean, Mel, articulate man.
Yeah, Melvin, I'm kind of upset.
Troy, articulate person.
No. Hold on. I need to hear Mel's response to what I just said a few seconds ago.
About total anarchy, I'm not saying to go out here and shoot the club up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying for everyone to grab their guns and meet in the middle of the street. But
because
I do think,
where that lead.
Because
here's the thing.
And we're already
we've had civil
outnumbered.
war before.
We are outnumbered.
in there,
We are
you know
the
what I'm saying?
minority. Yeah.
And so-
I don't know, man. I really think it'd be another civil war again. I really think it'd be like about half and half. Really do. Like, people from the cities come out. Like, if we were to like meet, square up, I think it'd be half and half. I think we don't realize that, like, this country had a civil war before, and it could happen again.
Dude, that joint can happen again.
And this time it ain't. With the muskets, it's like, poo, wait. It's just a thin line. Like, I don't know. I get fearful for some of our brothers, because I think that they want that secretly. I really do.
So, Melvin, we should not have full anarchy, but
No, I'm definitely for rebellion. Rebellion in some form. I'm for that. 100%.
Yeah.
You said not a civil war.
Not a civil
anarchy.
war, not anarchy, but I'm for some form of rebellion.
guerrilla warfare?
Rebellion doesn't necessarily equate to I gotta kill you. You know what I'm saying? They're all different forms of a way of being, rebellious in a sense, to challenge the system, to continue to challenge the system the way we have been, to continue to be proactive with reshaping our community and how, we're treated in our community. I definitely think we need to have more people in uniform or in positions of leadership that look like us in the communities that they're in, because especially in cases where the cop is always threatened for their life when interacting with someone who looks like us, because our cultures are different. So what may appear aggressive to a white man looks like play to us.
Yeah.
Or, so like a large group of black people listening to hardcore rap may look aggressive to, a white person. To us, that's a weekend. That's a Saturday. That's a, it's a whatever. So it's easy to feel threatened or feel like your life is threatened when you don't understand the culture that you're in. You don't understand the people. You don't know them. You don't understand anything about them. So I definitely think more people of color in blue uniforms in the communities that they live, that alone makes a big difference, because maybe murder or an arrest turns into I know this kid type of thing, or I know your mama, you shouldn't be doing well or whatever, and it goes from funneling the prison system to a boring class session about thievery,
Right.
you know, that may,
Right.
you know, reshape a young man's actions, you know, and stuff like that. So I definitely think there's a lot of different things that we can do. It's going to take a lot of people. It's going to take,
Yeah.
you know, and your way might not be my way. I think that Malcolm and Martin were both necessary.
Yes.
You know, so where you look at the nonviolent protests, I also think the violent protests was just as necessary. So what looks like progression to you may not look like progression to me. You
But
know,
you see
so-
that as rebellion. That's the thing I'm confused about. Is like all that you were saying. That's rebellion to you, though.
in essence, it is like all protesting and stuff is a form of rebelling.
Okay,
you know,
okay,
all
okay.
those things are, you know, forms of rebellion. It doesn't
Got
have
you,
to be
got
to
you.
the extent of Nat Turner rebellion, you know, type of thing. But it is me rising up against, you know, what someone like my parents telling me to be in by 12, and I come in at 12:15, or I come in at 12:45. I'm like rebelling against the rules that have been put. in
Got
place,
you. So if you
know,
work in a place where it's like, hey, your hair is not a lot. You would say rebellion would be either you
I
wear.
show up with my hair anyway.
You said what?
Melvin, you were actually in that situation, weren't you?
Kind of, but not really. So the month before I started, they lifted the hair ban. So had they kept it, I still would have showed up.
No, I've had some friends.
You know
do
what I'm
that.
saying? The way that I am.
I've had some friends do that. They made
So-
it made like it was basically like buck. Like if you really bought it, like do something because
Do
they
something
knew
to
that
me.
like I'm a sue or if you really want to lose all that money or the influence or power, you really want to go there for this for hair. That I'm not doing anything wrong. And I think for me, I was like, yeah, you can see so many examples in so many workplaces where it's like.
Yeah.
Again, it's about culture, you know. The majority culture is like they just don't see that as normal, you know. Even the military, you know, it's kind of like the same concept with the military, you know. Everybody with the same haircut. This is the haircut that we choose. I don't care what race you are. This is how you'll look. This is what the boots you gonna wear. So I could see that, you know, that comes from somewhere. But yeah,
On Highway 460, there's a shopping center, and in the shopping center they have like one of those electronic signs, and you know they advertise the shops that are in that shopping center, but they snuck one in, and it's American. It's the United States. A picture of the United States. It says love the United States. If not, get out of it. And I think the person who did that, who wrote that or decided to put that up, doesn't realize that America today does not look like America when it was like in the 14 whatevers, when Columbus just hit here. There has been constant change towards bettering us as a nation and as a people. And the moment that we get to the point where it was like, well, you just need to accept it, America how it is, that's at the point where we will never see change. We all need to get to a point of where we realize that there has to be something that has to be done to change the system, to change people's ideology. Unfortunately, that's the hardest part right there. It's changing people's hearts and their ideology, because we can change all the laws we want to. Shoot, we changed slavery. That was a law that you can't have slaves anymore, but people still did it because in their hearts they felt like it was good. So we can change the law as many times as we want to, but until the individuals that are in this United States of America get to the point of realizing that the change has to start with us, we won't see it.
yeah, that was really good, guys. Thank y'all so much for coming, man.
Hey,
You know?
thanks for having me.
Yeah, Troy.
Yeah, man.
We'll do this again.
I know.
We'll do this again. This has been good. Sojourners, thank y'all so much for listening. I appreciate y'all so much. I will link Court TV to this case, some relevant articles for you guys. And till next time.